manage to create something that actually
Gives you chill.
creeps me out. I mean, because
That's why, like, I don't really like Reddit, mainly because it's a circle jerk of pretentious assholes usually.
yeah,
And it was there's this one subreddit though that I do go to that I do like. It's called Short Scary Stories, and pretty much what it is,
oh,
it's like stories that are like at maximum 3 paragraphs long, sometimes even less,
hmm,
sometimes only one word. And
yeah,
I go there mainly because the stories they're like on the creepypasta website or the subreddit, they're sometimes all right, but they just drag on. These ones are quick and to the point, and usually if they're that quick and to the point, they have to actually like forces you to be more creative, and they become even
yeah,
scarier mainly because they're so ambiguous or obscure that like it's open ended, like the
yeah.
Siren, and that's what I really love about those stories, and that's where I get most of the stories I read.
That's cool. Yeah, because there is nothing that scares a person more than making them have to fill in the gaps in the story.
Right, like the initial story, it's more of a catalyst for the fear. I feel
Yeah,
like the scariest part is up to the imagination, and like the scariest part isn't the story; it's the thinking that you do afterwards.
yeah.
Well,
Because
you're
it's
looking for stuff. That's right.
yeah, because the human mind will always come up with worse things than any author can,
Always, pick the
because
worst
it
spot.
knows what you're the most afraid
Yep.
of. And that's one of the great things about, I've heard a lot of people complain about, old literature or older horror stories.
Yeah, and those are all the good ones too. I should read some of those.
And, like, oh god, I can't remember what it was. I think the story was called The Horla,
I
and it
haven't
was
heard of that.
by Guy de Maupassant, who was another like ages ago, a fairly famous horror writer, French, obviously.
Right.
And most of the story takes place fairly well written because it has you inside of the person's head to the point
Those,
where
yeah.
it actually starts making you afraid of the things he's afraid
I
of.
know, and I love stuff like that. Like when things are intricate but they're intricate in a minimal kind of way where they engage you,
Mm-hmm.
but they engage you in the sense that they make you think. Not they tell you what to think, but they leave it open so that your mind creates the horror. And like
Mm-hmm.
during most indie horror games and stuff like that, they just throw scare after scare at you trying to get some sort of reaction.
It's
When
like,
the best
okay, I get
ones,
it.
yeah, like it's like okay, like they're startling, but they're not scary. I don't go to bed
Yeah.
thinking, "Holy shit." I go to
Yeah.
bed annoyed by the fact that my heart rate is skyrocketing. And
Yeah.
but it's like the ones that are like they drag you in, and like there was this one Amnesia custom story. I don't remember what it was called, but for some reason it just got to me. Like it
Mm-hmm.
was in every sense of the word, just like I felt like
Just
I was going to
absorbing.
die, and I needed to stop playing, or else I was gonna like herniate or something. I don't know. Should probably go back. Oh, I'm dying
Yeah.
of hunger. That's
So,
great.
like, I really liked Amnesia in theory. I really wish that people had stopped acting like jackasses, because I would have
Yeah.
liked to have finished it. But at the same time, now I can't go back and force myself to do any like the custom crap.
The custom campaigns are usually a miss, but you do get the occasional good one. And if you
Mm.
do get the good one, they're definitely good. Like scarier than the actual game. And the game itself, like the original game, didn't
Yeah, the game was
scare me that much.
yeah,
It was at first, it was horrifying, and then
and
I
then
got
it's just
used to
kind of
it. And
and it stops
and also
like after.
I
Hmm?
just know how to ruin the immersion for myself too. Like I'll
Yeah,
charge headfirst at the monster because if you die on your own terms in a horror game, it kind of
yeah,
eliminates
it's
it.
yeah. Like after the first time I died, and I realized there were no repercussions
Right.
or anything for dying.
Yeah, it was kind of
It
like
stopped being scary.
yeah. But the best horror games I found are you ever like play Dear Esther or her here?
I have that, but I have not played it.
I heard that one is really there it's made by the same guys who did Amnesia and Machine for Pigs,
Yeah,
which is why
like they did
Machine
it.
for Pigs was more story driven than anything else.
Yeah,
But it was from what I heard pretty damn good story wise because it didn't like there wasn't really as much a main threat as it was just the
yeah,
ideas.
yeah, and that's it's actually one of those games. I know it's been out for years, and
Right.
I know no one would want me to see or to like to see me play it or anything for the most part.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm sitting on it for when I want to actually play something scary.
Right, yeah.
And I
Let's
also
see,
think they
games I
are.
could recommend that are actually scary. It's hard to name some, mainly because some of them, like, you just become so desensitized because it just throws gore at you or something like that. Like, I'm looking at you, Fear.
Yeah.
It's not scary.
No, it's not scary at all, but it's an enjoyable game
Right.
series,
And Dead
which is, of course,
Space
the important.
actually freaked me out the first time I played through it, mainly because I
And
was
that.
still in high school and I was scared of everything back then. But
Yeah.
in other senses, because I didn't really have much experience with the horror game back then, so the grotesqueness of the monsters and the creatures and like what I really love about Dead Space is that the virus or bacteria that acts like a virus, it's something, I don't remember exactly what it was.
The
It's
thing.
kind of like a sentient being. And what I thought was really cool about the series was that the sentient being has an idea of what it wants to morph the human body into, but the human body just isn't that malleable when it comes to, changes and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it ends in these horrible, grotesque creatures that, as evolution would say, would be the only purpose is to procreate, like, make
Yeah.
more and well, expands. And that's pretty much the
Yeah.
basis of what the enemies are. They're pretty much, survival of the fittest.
I think, and I'm trying to remember the name for it. I think Alfred Hitchcock referred to. The term Alfred Hitchcock used for something like that was the MacGuffin, which he described as the thing the spies are after, but nobody cares about because they're watching the movie. So like it's a virus or a bacteria or a blah. No one cares. They're playing the
Yeah, they're
game.
playing the game just, for whatever
Yeah, they're
reason. It is not the in-depth storyline.
yeah.
But that's one of the reasons I
So
love Dead Space is just because it's such a unique plot that I've never even heard of. Like, for one, shoot the limbs off the thing or the creatures is something that's they've never
that
had
was a
to do.
nice. That was a neat new mechanic.
Right.
I was impressed with
I
that.
did like that. But also, of course, by the third game, you just know how to deal with it, so it becomes less scary.
Yeah.
But still, I like the series. Like, just the idea that, like, once you finish Dead Space 1, you definitely have to watch Downfall, because it's like a prequel to Dead Space 1. And you know that video log you found of Captain Matthias and, like, the doctor gonna, like, sedate him? You
Yeah.
pretty much see what happens from their point of view after that feed cut out and stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool.
But the thing is, the one thing I did not like about the movie was that, well, for one, it did take place around a group of, C-Sec officers, so they only had, like, pistols, and the only other tool that they used to dismember the guys were, like, energy chainsaws, which was pretty badass, but you never saw the plasma cutter or the pulse rifle.
Yeah.
That's one thing that I was a little upset about. But just the
Yeah.
storyline was amazing. And
Yeah.
like the plot twists, the reoccurring characters. The reoccurring characters I think was the best part, mainly because they didn't always come back alive.
Yeah, that's actually kind of a cool gimmick.
Yeah, it was
Like, oh look, Blah's back for brains.
Oops. Yeah, like the Indian guy, the Native American guy. It was so cool. And but yeah, like Dead Space is such a cool series. Like really what gets me is just one, the setting, two, the way that they did, the future scene, like in a way that makes it really it's not just a generic sci-fi thing. It has its own twist to it, like with the Dead Space suits, and it's got a really good lore behind it. Like one thing that I don't like about sci-fi is when people do it and it's just a generic sci-fi, future
Yeah.
stuff. Everything's white. There's lens flares everywhere.
Like,
And
you
like
don't
that's
care.
boring. But this it's like dark and gritty, and like one of the coolest things I like, and they actually named this in the Downfall movie is they talk about life in the universe.
Yeah.
And the year here in Dead Space is, I believe, either 2,500 or 2,600. And they've been visiting star system after star system, mining, planet cracking, destroying whole worlds, whole
Yeah.
dead worlds, I should add, dead universes that never had the chance to really blossom into the life that is humanity and stuff like that. And what they say is cool, I thought, was they're never going to find life on other planets just because Earth was a fluke. The universe is really just a dead world. And I think that really adds to the, I guess, harshness of the alien virus. Is that one, it's either one, they're not alone in the universe, or two, they aren't. And like one guy, I don't remember what the quote was, but both ideas are equally terrifying. And even if they are the only, bastion of life in the universe, and they're spreading out and increasing their numbers across the universe, if this necromorph virus does succeed in killing them, the universe will just be a cold, dead place forever.
Yeah, the universe is empty.
And just that concept blows my mind. And that's why, like, one of the reasons I love Dead Space so much is that I think way too much on it.
If things have gone, or if the human race dies, the universe is empty. Ta-da!
And I know, and it's like the end of the story. Nobody cares. I mean, the
There's
universe
no one
isn't going to
left to
stop.
care.
Yeah, there's nobody left to care. And that's one of the things that just worries me so much. And I love that worrying feeling. And just it
Huh.
increases the sense of survival in the game for me. Like, I need to survive or else humanity is going to die.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I get so into it. And I've played the game
Yeah.
7 times. I have not
I
played a
mean,
game as many times as I have Dead Space.
okay, so we have a compressor.
Now, what
So,
do we compress?
I need to figure out where I put the leftover iron, and I need to put more coal in the
I've
furnace to
got
keep it.
6 iron ore on me. I'm trying to increase that number.
So, well, first thing I do is I don't need to compress a whole mess of this.
Have you seen
So that's
Prometheus? Sorry, just off.
No, I have not, because I liked Aliens, and then I heard a lot of people tell me about the movie. I was like, well, I'm not seeing that.
I actually, all
Um,
right, so I watched Aliens, and then I watched Aliens 2, and then I watched Prometheus, and this might go against the common word, but I actually liked it. I thought it explained a lot of what we saw in the first Aliens movie without being too specific about it. And that's going back to
huh.
that obscurity thing that we mentioned, like, you know the the ship that they see in the first Alien movie, it looks like a
Yeah,
Goliath from that web game Dark Orbit, if you've ever heard of that.
I've heard of it, yes.
Yeah, I used to play that in 8th grade. Anyway, moving on. Um,
Mm.
and you see that, and like, I don't think they really ever give the aliens or the precursor species that genetically created the alien or humans. I think, yeah, they genetically created the
Yeah.
humans. Um, like a name, they just called them the
Yeah, the
pioneers or something like
precursor.
that.
Yeah.
And they never really explained what their motives were or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like they recreated one because they found him in a stasis pod of some sort, and he looked like a human, only bigger, muscular, a Homo novus in a sense, and pretty much like they saw him and they thought that he was going to be like an angel or something like that, or like something that was going to give them the
The
knowledge of the universe that they all need and want and desire and thrive for. Because as you know, humans strive to have a place, and this is one of the things that they thought would give them that sense of having a purpose in life.
yeah.
And it turns out that like the guy looks down at them and he just grabs the android guy and rips his head off, and he pretty much starts fucking everybody up.
I was like,
Kills
nope,
the old
he's
yeah.
just an asshole.
Yeah, you know, he's just an asshole. And then it makes you wonder, that guy had to know who they were because, one, they genetically engineered them. And it has to make you wonder what exactly made him so violent towards them and stuff like that. And then they find like one of the ships and stuff like that because they're one ship off the planet. The one girl. Are you gonna see it? Do you mind if I keep talking? Or?
Go ahead.
All right.
It's been out long enough that I normally stop worrying about spoilers after something's been out a week if I don't plan to see it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, anyway, so the ship is destroyed. This is actually one thing that did bother me in the movie. Like, all right, well, I guess this isn't really a thing I could use that phrase with, but it's a the ship was like kind of like a donut shape. All right, it was the enemy
Mm,
ship. It was the circle thing,
yeah.
and it was rolling towards the two girls that were the only two left alive, I should add.
Mm,
And well, technically three because the android's head was still activated, but. Um,
yeah.
so anyway, it was rolling towards them. Instead of running to the side like any normal person would do, they ran straight
Towards it.
and
Uh,
like instead of running to the side to get out of the way, they decided it would be a better idea to run straight. So one of the girls falls. It was the bad girl, the blonde one.
mm,
She ends up dying, of course, naturally, and the other girl escapes by like hiding in a cranny or something like that, someplace that the
mm,
thing didn't crush. And she crawls out, and she has the android head in a bag because he says that there's actually one other way they can get off the planet since their ship was destroyed,
mm,
and it's with the alien precursor ship. So she
yeah.
gets in there, and he's like, "Do you want me to set a course for Earth? Do you want to be Earthbound?" And she says, "No, we're gonna go back to their like." There was a whole bunch of star systems in there, and there was one that I think stood out more than the others. And she, I guess,
Mm,
assumed that it was their home planet, not
yeah.
the human home planet, but the Homo novus home planet.
Yeah.
And of course they found the xenomorphs or
Yeah.
chest bursters at that